Three, two, one.
Hello there, and welcome to the third edition for the podcast version for Whills the Whills from Brick City Blockade Podcast Network. My guest tonight is none other than the legend himself, Tim Rosser. So, Tim, welcome back to not only just Whills the Whills, but the podcast network in general, but your first audio/podcast version for Whills the Whills.
Awesome. It's good to be here, as always. So I'm ready.
Awesome. First, your Christmas and how was your New Year's?
All right. So I went home, visited my parents for Christmas. It was a good time. It went a little bit too quick for me, but hey, that's how it is as you get older.
Yeah.
I'd say the highlight of the whole thing was actually I had my dad watching Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh,
the
yeah.
First one. Yeah. And that was that was pretty interesting actually. So that was pretty cool. That was probably the highlight of it. New Year's didn't do anything. I tend to the night before New Year's, I tend to go to the store, stock up on stuff, and I lock myself in my apartment so that I don't have to deal with crazy people.
Fair enough. I had to work the next day, so I didn't do anything crazy except play For Honor and everything like that. I've recently gotten back into that game.
Okay.
How is your PlayStation Network going, by the way?
Okay, so I kind of jumped the gun. It wasn't all Sony's fault, so I kind of feel bad for that post I made. But that was really I do that stuff to kind of make people laugh. That's
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal to me. But when I say what I did, it's just mainly so people look at it and kind of laugh. But what happened was they did go down.
Mhm.
I don't know how long they went down, but the servers went down, and then for some reason or another, it messed my settings up. So I thought the servers were down, but what had happened was when they came back up, I was able to I reset this. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, somebody just tried to dial in on me.
It's all good.
So what happened was I went into my my settings and found that somehow or another, when their servers went down, it knocked my settings off on my internet stuff. So while I reset my router several times, I reset the PlayStation. Lots of times I just thought their servers were down, but somehow or another, when they went down, it messed my whole settings up. So I went in there and fixed those, and I was back up.
Well, that's good. I still say you should get an Xbox, but that's just me.
I'm leaning to it. I don't know how it is, but the PlayStation 3 is a much better system than the 4. And
Yeah.
I say that because PlayStation 3, you could download or you could upload pictures. So like I come back from a vacation, I could put my pictures on there and I could see them on the big, 53-inch screen TV. It looked really cool. You could also upload MP3s, so I could, I have a playlist going on there. Everything was user friendly. Now they're trying to go away from that, and PlayStation 4 is just like junk. So they finally got wise, and they made a folder. Or you can make folders now. So make a folder for junk because you can't get rid of some of the icons. Like I don't need that mess on my screen cluttering it up. Stuff that I know I'm not going to use.
Yeah.
And I just want to delete it, but you can't. So, it's just, yeah. But that's the way from I hear all the systems are starting to go that way. And I don't know, it's just getting bad.
Well,
and then they're talking about PlayStation 5. How long did it take me to get a PlayStation 4? Because they just weren't putting good games out.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about 2, if that's even what they're going to call it. But it took me a good maybe 4 years before I got an Xbox One. I stuck with the 360 for a while.
Yeah.
When the Xbox One came out, because when it launches, there's never really good launch titles for the new consoles or anything like that.
No, you're right. You're exactly right.
And me personally, I was a Sony guy for PlayStation and stuff like that. But I want to say after PS2, I switched to Xbox 360. Um, and I just stayed with Microsoft since. I just like the way they do their games better, or the system in general. I like that better. Um, Plus, they had Knights of the Old Republic on Xbox, so that is a better reason to have an Xbox. Is Knights of the Old
Yeah.
Republic?
Yeah.
Is that an adult beverage you are popping open, sir?
No, it is actually a apple pie soda I get from Cracker Barrel. It's like my favorite
Okay.
restaurant. So you go in there and you got the different kinds of like kind of like weird sodas, and I like to get them. It's like a guilty pleasure of mine.
That's all good.
Yeah.
So I have a list of everything that is coming out from Star Wars this year.
Okay.
So first thing would be Star Wars Celebration, which is in April. Then, depending on when it releases, there's the Mandalorian series that's coming out this year. Also, we're getting the 7th season of the Clone Wars this year, as well as Galaxy's Edge, which was Star Wars Land, the expansion to Disney. More towards the holiday season, we have a new video game release for Star Wars, which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And then the last thing, which is the most important thing, is Star Wars Episode 9 at the end of this year. So it's a pretty heavy year for Star Wars this year.
And I'm excited.
Yeah.
as I think most of us will be.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to get started on first.
We can get started on Celebration first.
Yes.
What is it I know you mainly go to the cons for meeting people and stuff, but what is it you're looking forward to seeing possibly come out of Celebration this year for like a trailer or any movie news kind of stuff?
Yeah. Okay, so I really I planned on going to Celebration this year. And then I thought about it. I think I'm going to save my money up and save it for Galaxy's Edge. And I know we'll get to that shortly. So but yeah, so I'm very spontaneous, so I can't say that I won't go. That something might come up where I'm just like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go. But at this point, I don't think I'm going. But what I'd like to see come from there is maybe a good trailer for Episode 9, which I could see that happening. It's coming out this year. And it is Celebration, so I could see that it's probably going to happen. So that'll be really cool. Maybe even some more about the Mandalorian series. That would be really cool.
Maybe a teaser for that or something.
Yeah. That would be cool. And then I'd like to see maybe some new action figures, like display, like what's coming out for.
Yeah.
That would be great
for the Black Series figures. Yeah,
exactly. Because like I said, I'm not a completist in anything. I love Transformers, but I don't get every single one of them. I love Star Wars, but I don't get every single figure. So, if something good comes out, I'd like to see a good General Grievous for the Black Series. That would be cool.
I have good news on that one for you.
Okay.
They are releasing a new General Grievous, a resculpt. Because I believe the first edition of General Grievous that came out, it was kind of poorly made.
Yeah.
Robin, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Actually, Andrew, you are completely correct. It was absolute crap.
Okay. And this one, it's just the detail is so much better. It's like they took General Grievous from Revenge of the Sith and just shrunk him down to action figure size.
Nice.
Yeah. And you are able to have him with all 4 arms. He comes with the cape. I believe it's detachable and everything. Okay. And the other big one is Clone Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. Nice. And like the clone trooper kind of armor with the Jedi robes over it.
Okay.
So those are the 2 that I'm looking for.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Um, there are new Black Series lightsabers coming out, which I mentioned a couple weeks ago. There's three that's releasing on the 15th of this month, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi's from Episode 1, Darth Maul's, which you can get two and connect them to make the double-sided saber, and Mace Windu's.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. Now I hate to cut you off, but have they done any like upgrades to these to try and compete with? And this is just a question, like with like some of the third party companies, to where because you
Not really.
okay,
You can duel with them, but not like to the extent of like Ultra Sabers or Saber Forge or Vader's Vault,
yeah,
right?
okay,
Unless you get the blade removed or replaced and everything, like you did and Robin actually did with his Vader one, um, to be able to actually duel with it and stuff.
okay. And, it's mainly only because of the versatility. You know,
Yeah,
it's that was the one thing I hated about taking mine to a convention was not being able to take the blade off.
yeah,
And so, but at the time there was no like third party Vader hilt that looked kind of accurate.
yeah.
So I sent mine down to RGV Custom Sabers in Texas, and he gutted it and did his work on it. So that was the only thing. That's the reason I was asking about if maybe they had upgraded. If I got any, it would be purely for collectability
Yeah.
anyway. The Mace
If
Windu one kind of, yeah.
it would be Mace Windu's that you would get.
Yeah, I think just because it's different and it's, purple blade and everything, it looks
Yeah.
kind of cool.
It just won't have the engravings that Sam Jackson has on the side of his lightsaber hilt, which is bad MFer on the side of it. um, but like you, um, we'll obviously get the title for episode 9 before um, celebration, I believe. Um, or if they really want to be ballsy, save the title for the end of the trailer at celebration, like they did with Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
They could do that, but then they'd be like, everyone would be like, "Oh, Lucasfilm is copying Marvel now," and blah blah blah. Um, well, Marvel is taking care of the comics for Star Wars, so.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Now, have you heard about the rumored title for Episode 9 or
I
seen it?
have not.
So the rumored title is Son of Darkness, which would obviously revolve around Kylo Ren. Um, I don't like the title Son of Darkness. For me, it
No,
doesn't
I don't.
fit for the Star Wars titles. They always have a point to them. Like Attack of
Yes.
the clones attacked. Empire Strikes
Son
Back,
of
struck back.
yes. It sounds like you're saying that Han Solo was like essentially a dark person at
Yeah,
some point or time. You know what I mean? And that just doesn't seem right. It doesn't sound right.
but
Son of Darkness.
Robin came up with a different title for it, um, and it actually works a lot better. And the title Robin came up with, I'm pretty sure Robin came up with it, which would be
That would actually be Heir of Darkness because of his connection to Darth Vader. He is an heir to Lord Vader in many ways, as Snoke repeats multiple times between The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi, making sense to, instead of Son of Darkness, like you said, Tim, that connection. Han was never that dark, and neither was Leia.
No, yeah, you're right.
Luke was more dark than all of them in many.
Yes.
So, Heir of Darkness has that connection to The Last Jedi, to Force Awakens, to Supreme Leader Snoke, and the direction that Kylo Ren wants to head going forward.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
That's perfect, actually.
And it would be essentially Kylo is the main focus of this movie. Rey was pretty much the focus of the last two. You could counter it with Finn being kind of a focus for Force Awakens, where he really wasn't. But this one, if it is Heir of Darkness, it would be Kylo's film, essentially. Yeah. I would like to see them announce what the next Star Wars story would be, whether it's Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon or Lobot. Lobot, a Star Wars story. But if it is a Star Wars story, everyone would want Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. Might do that, especially with the book coming up this year as well, Master and Apprentice, following Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. So they might want to try and tie in on that, announcing that Obi-Wan has a film coming in the future and everything like that. Next thing we can talk about.
Andrew, can I just interrupt just quickly?
Yes.
One of the Star Wars stories that I would love to see is Dinner with Dex, a Star Wars story where it talks about Dex's diner.
Would they explain how he has a mustache?
No, but it would explain the whole idea of him hiking up his pants using his back two arms.
Well, that would be interesting. It would essentially be the Star Wars version of American Graffiti.
Essentially, you get Ron Howard to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could easily do it.
He should have a cameo in it too.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Or his brother.
Yeah.
The next thing we can talk about is Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Now, did you see the preview they showed for it?
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know if I saw that preview, but I did see a really good article on it. And what they said about it is just amazing.
Yeah.
Disney, and I can't be skeptical about it because I haven't been yet to see Pandora, but I hear Pandora is nothing but phenomenal, and it was everything that they said it would be.
Yeah.
And I've been to Disney so much that I know that they can pull it off. What they say they do, they do.
Yeah.
So what they've been saying about it is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know what you've heard about it.
The one thing that sold me on it is you can fly the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, and what else sold me on it on that is, and I told my daughter about this, and she got excited, was that how the cast members, when you, like, let's say you're flying the Millennium Falcon and you crash it, they will call you out on the streets. Like as you're walking down the street, you'll just be a random cast member, because the cast members won't have where they're going to blend in with you.
Yeah.
And so they'll have cast members, and you might get a bounty hunter or a smuggler or something that's just like call you out on how bad your flying skills are.
Yeah.
And I think that is awesome.
And that just immerses you even more in
the
Star Wars galaxy. It is a new planet. I forget the name of the planet.
It begins with a B, I believe.
Robin, do you remember the name of the planet?
What planet are we speaking of?
For Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, Batu.
That's it. Yes.
So like Octu, essentially. Just no weird aliens that Luke milks.
I'll never forget that. That just scarred
was that,
me.
Robin?
I said it's quite unfortunate that we're going to be missing out on the milking monster once again.
You never know. That could be an attraction.
It could be. They're trying to attract all kinds of people now, and you got some.
Just imagine all the Luke cosplayers that'll go there just to do
do that. But the worst part about that is if you just imagine how he did it in the movie. He walks up to it, just squeezes it, and then he just chugs it, and he gets that look like, and it's like, whoa, calm down. He
still has a dribble in his beard too.
Did you ever see the cartoon about that? Somebody
I
made a
did not.
So they made a cartoon where it was the two of the little creatures sitting there, and one
Yeah.
was like talking to the other one, like, "Well, where are you going?" "I'm going on vacation. I'm just going to go someplace that I'm not being bothered." And like they show the next one, and it's like it's sitting there on the rocks, and all of a sudden, Luke walks up and just does that to it. It's like I just thought it was funny because they had just previously said, "Hey, I'm going on vacation just to not be bothered by people."
Oh, that's fantastic. So what do you think of John Williams doing the music for Galaxy's Edge, like the entire theme park itself?
That will be phenomenal. I just hope that he does it well. He can recycle a lot of the stuff from previous
Yeah.
material, because I don't want him to try and do new stuff and it not be exceptional.
Mhm.
I was not too. Let's see, was it Last Jedi? I think. Yeah, The Last Jedi. I didn't really care too much for that
Mhm.
soundtrack. I mean, it's always going to be good. His
Yeah.
stuff is phenomenal. It just wasn't like impactful enough.
Yeah.
You get something like one of my favorite pieces is Anakin's betrayal,
Yep.
which really should be called Order 66. The title
It should be.
yeah, because it starts off. That's what starts off Order 66. They start playing that music, but they call it Anakin's betrayal, which it makes sense. But at the same time,
It does.
yeah. So that right there is one of those type of. I always throw that one out there to people. A lot of people want to, they throw a Duel of the Fates, which is a just iconic classic.
Yeah.
But for me, Anakin's betrayal has much more impact on me.
It does.
And so, things like that, I'd love to hear that played out in the park and stuff like that. I hope he just doesn't go too crazy trying to make new stuff and not deliver.
Yeah. I get what you mean with that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Both soundtracks for Force Awakens and Last Jedi, they are good. They have good tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not as strong as the prequel or the original trilogy.
Right.
I think
even Rogue One's was better than those two.
I think it's because John Williams isn't recording with the London Symphony Orchestra again.
Okay.
Because throughout all the prequels and the originals, it was always the London Symphony Orchestra. And that's what made it so powerful.
Yeah.
The orchestra they're using for Star Wars is, I'm pretty sure, the same orchestra they use for like the Marvel films and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like, I like that they recycled the Emperor's theme and everything like that for Last Jedi, for Snoke when he's reading Rey's mind and everything like that. But I do hope Episode 9, even with Galaxy's Edge, I hope the music's memorable, but I hope he nails it out of the park with Episode 9's soundtrack. I hope it's something we go from 10 years from now and it's like, man, that soundtrack for Episode 9 was essentially the Revenge of the Sith for me and stuff like that. Or Return of the Jedi for some people, just not Ewok Celebration soundtrack for that.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm excited for is the fact you can fight. Granted, I would want to fight for the First Order, but being able to fight for the Resistance and everything like that against the First Order. I wish they would let you choose what side you could be on, because not every kid wants to be on the side of the Resistance. I'm a dark side kid. I wanted to be Darth Vader when I was 5 years old.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. The next thing, The Mandalorian. Now, have you read anything on The Mandalorian? Are you trying to go in fresh?
I'm trying to go in fresh, but it doesn't matter. It's just one of those things where I have so much I'm trying to take in that some things I just kind of let slip. So it's not that I'm trying to avoid it. It's just one of those things that just isn't at the top of my head. So if you've heard anything and you say it, you're not gonna bother me. I'm not really worried about going in fresh. I just, like I said, one of those things where it's just not at the forefront for me at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm excited, but I'm actually more excited for Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So I haven't heard much about too much about it. I just know I'm kind of digging that animation. If it's like what I think it's going to be.
Well, The Mandalorian isn't animation; it's live action.
It is.
Yes, it's live action sets, everything.
So that tells you how much I have actually been following this.
Now, if you're talking about Clone Wars, that is animated.
No, it's good. Yeah, no, the picture I saw for The Mandalorian, I guess it was a still, and it just looked kind of animated to me, and I was like, wow, that's some like video game style type animation. But if it's live action, yes,
it's live action.
Phenomenal.
Each episode's going to have different directors. The pilot
cool.
and the second episode or first episode, whatever you want to call it, would be Dave Filoni, who created Clone Wars and Rebels. So he has a track record with Star Wars. So this is his debut with live action Star Wars stuff. And Bryce Dallas Howard is also going to be directing an episode. I'm pretty sure she's going to appear as a cameo or something in one of the episodes or something like that. Okay. So one interesting thing they revealed is a specific droid that's going to be in The Mandalorian. Do you want to take a guess which droid that's going
to if it's Mandalorian, I'm just going to say IG-88.
You are correct.
That would just be my okay.
He's going to be a major part of The Mandalorian from what I've heard.
Yeah, you know what I feel about that is because my take on droids has always been, I've always been wondering, they're robots that have a really good artificial intelligence. But Star Wars always, to me, borderline, are they actually sentient or not? And I've always debated on that because, I mean, here you have a bounty hunter. Now, this guy is getting paid to go, take people out or bring them in or whatever. But he's essentially a robot. So I'm wondering, I've never understood how Star Wars actually, how their droids really were. Are they just that in program that they pretty much are essentially alive, even though they don't have a living essence? So that kind of stuff always intrigued me about the droid. So now you're throwing IG-88 in there, and I'm like, this is going to be kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If you read the Vader comics, there's another droid that's very interesting, which would be 000.
Yes.
He is essentially the more sadistic version of C-3PO. He's a torturer droid.
Yes.
Instead of having 6 million forms of language, he has 6 million forms of torturing you.
Yeah, and always ready to wring and strip a human being of their skin. It's so funny.
Yeah. I hope he pops up in a live action form at some point. If they do a Vader film, I see him possibly showing up there or something like that.
No, wait a minute. Did they have a C-3PO in something recently? That was black. It looked like 000. Was it Last Jedi where it wasn't like a big part. It was just like you saw like the black version of him. Almost.
I think it might be BB-9E, the First Order's droid like BB-8. Robin, you can correct me or add something in for that. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily. That's an interesting point, Tim, because I feel like Lucasfilm more recently, what they've been able to do is take the common droids and the common styles that we've known, and they've thrown in different color versions, different stylized versions. So I'm sure either in The Last Jedi or I'm even thinking back into Solo, maybe there was a use of a darker version of C-3PO.
I think it was Solo.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about that movie, and I'm pretty sure I saw there was a black version of C-3PO in one of those, and I think you're right. I think it might have been Solo.
I bet it was on Dryden Voss's ship as well.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really. It never came out that he was 000, and it just happened. I think they threw it in there as a nod. But like you're saying, if they did a Vader movie, I'd like to see, like you said, I'd like to see the 000 show up because he's absolutely hilarious.
I like him a lot more than C-3PO. He makes C-3PO look like C-3PO is a pansy, but for 000 to come onto the scene and be intimidating, essentially in a way like a Terminator with his red eyes and everything.
Oh yeah. And then you have the B2 is, or BT is like he's like War Machine of R2D2. Like, he's got the cannons come out and so I'm like, yes.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Speaking of Vader comics, have you been keeping up with the Vader comics at all?
No, I've got them again. Like I said, I think it was one of the last times we were talking. I'm behind, but I have them. I've got to sit down one day and catch back up.
Do you care if I reveal something for you that just finished out this run for the Vader comics?
No, you're not gonna bother me at all because, like I said, I kind of.
Okay, I'm gonna learn you something. So Vader, this comic series takes place about 8 months after Revenge of the Sith. So Vader is still hung up on Padme. So Vader goes into the Cosmic Force, essentially, to try and bring her back with him. It goes through Anakin's entire life, from when he was a kid, actually from the womb to when he's an adult. And when they show Shmi, they show the creation of Anakin. They reveal who his father is.
Yes.
His father is Emperor Palpatine.
Ooh, so that's why he was so hung up on Vader.
Yeah.
Because he could have just let Vader die on Mustafar.
Yeah.
I always wondered why he went back. He's like, I thought he would have thought he was already dead. Why is he going even worried about a shell of a man?
Mm-hmm. And the way they set it up, they show Anakin being created in Shmi, not so much the sex part of it, but the Force part of it. And they show Palpatine form behind her, and he says the line, "I am your father."
Wow.
Yeah. And it just reveals so much stuff for the original trilogy in general. So essentially, it's the grandfather, the son, and the grandson throughout the original trilogy.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And now, great-grandson, which would be Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Robin and I both don't think they'll touch on it really in episode 9. If anything, it would probably be a comic book leading either up to episode 9 or like after it comes out and everything like that. Because it might confuse some people if they're just the moviegoers being like, why are we just learning this now and not in Revenge of the Sith? Granted, there was a line in Revenge of the Sith when they're at the opera and Palpatine is telling him the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise and how to manipulate the midi-chlorians to create life. Palpatine then goes, "You could say, I'm your father."
Wow.
Yeah. So that's was in the original script for Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. So in a way it was canon from the start. They just decided to finally throw it in. Okay.
And it makes so much more sense than it being Plagueis creating Anakin or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate to say it, but Plagueis is like the character I like.
Yeah.
I never cared for the way he looked. So I'm just glad that he, essentially wasn't Anakin's father, just to say, Palpatine, it makes much more sense now because
it does.
Like I was saying, so he was hung up. Yeah, I understand that he needed Vader, and why not have somebody that could live after taking that much abuse? Like, I mean, he burned to a crisp, got all of his arms, like all of his limbs essentially were gone.
Yeah.
And, it's like, why did he even care? And he goes back and he's like, he's still alive. He was all like, what? Like he was surprised. And it's like, get him, and put that much effort into rebuilding him. So that would make sense that essentially not only was he realizing that he was powerful, but hey, that's my son.
Yeah.
That I created, I created this guy. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and it just makes sense for it to be Palpatine, especially with him just watching Anakin over the years.
Yeah.
And treating him essentially like his son because he was his son. People think it's not accurate because it was from a Force vision or from the cosmic Force, and that kind of doesn't always tell the truth. But if it wasn't true, I don't think they would have made such a big deal of showing the creation of Anakin and Palpatine saying that line.
Right.
And it gives so much to not only just Anakin Skywalker, but also Darth Vader in general. And I don't know what the next Vader comic series is going to cover, but I hope they kind of reference the Palpatine being Vader's father kind of stuff a lot more. Not to the extent where Vader straight up asks Palpatine, but there's like subtle hints that Palpatine essentially like confirms it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The next thing I do want to talk about is the first single player Star Wars game that we've had since, what was the last single player Star Wars game that came out?
That was oh goodness.
It couldn't have been Force Unleashed 2.
You sure it wasn't?
Oh God, if it was, wow, that is a long time.
I don't remember anything else. Because
besides the Lego games, those don't really count.
I don't count. Yeah, I don't count those.
How dare you say that?
No, as single player games.
Because I don't even count them as games. Period. Oops, my bad.
Demi off on it. Andrew isn't.
No, it's nothing wrong with them. I just like he's saying, they're more like games that are just fun to play, but I don't really I don't know if I class them up there with let me shut up. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I absolutely agree with you, Tim. They're one of those games that's like, hey, thanks for releasing this. It fills in my Star Wars gap while I need it. Like that's really
yeah. But I really wouldn't have called it something like Battlefront or like the Force Unleashed or something like that.
The first single player game that's come out since essentially the Force Unleashed 2 is called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It is due to come out this holiday season. Not much is really known about it, except it takes place 3 months after Revenge of the Sith. You are essentially a Jedi Padawan that escaped Order 66.
Nice.
The main antagonists are 2 Inquisitors, the second sister, and the 9th brother, or something like that. The second sister, there was something possibly revealing of who the second sister is. We have seen her in the Clone Wars, which would be, if you've seen bits and pieces of the Clone Wars, Barriss Offee, who essentially gave in to the dark side near the end of the Clone Wars, fighting Anakin. She eventually became an Inquisitor, which would be the second sister.
Okay.
She is going to be one of the main antagonists of the game. Robin, if you want to give your thoughts on that, you can. And also, Tim, you can as well.
Yeah, I think this is super exciting for Star Wars. I think we've been looking ever since Battlefront for something a little bit more immersive, something that's going to take us deeper and deeper into the Star Wars lore and have us have the opportunity to actually get into the Star Wars universe and experience it one-to-one style and being able to interact with characters around us. Battlefront had a lot of different things that it added, but it added it too late. It added all these DLC packs and everything else way too late. They should have given this stuff early on to entice the gamer into these universes. And I think that this next series of games, I'm saying this because, we're getting one this year, but I think they know the success of this upcoming game is going to be something that's going to drive them into the future. And that's why we're going to see more of these expanded gaming experiences in the Star Wars universe. So I'm super excited to see. It's got me really convinced.
I agree. That's the thing I didn't like about Battlefront was I think it wasn't enough story driven. It wasn't so like I was telling Andrew a while back. I want to see a Star Wars game where it's basically essentially Skyrim. You create your own character and you set them into the Star Wars universe. You can go up and talk to you can go up and talk to Star Wars characters like they're NPCs basically, essentially. I can go up and talk to Lando Calrissian or hey, I'm looking for this Skywalker kid, and then he's over there, and you can like walk over and talk to Luke or something, like if you're on Tatooine or something. That's what I'd like to see. And it sounds like this game that's coming out this year will essentially kind of start something like that, where you can kind of, like you said, immerse yourself into the world. And I think that's a good start. So if this thing, if it's good, and I hate to say this, but they need to go and talk to Rockstar and learn something, because Red Dead Redemption 2, it's a lot of people complain because it had a 100 gigabyte download from the start.
Yeah,
but
it was a big download.
It was a big one. But because of that, look at the game you got.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And if they did something like that, we won't have a Fallout 76.
No,
with them. You know what I said? We won't have a mess up. So I'm hoping that game comes out, they put a little effort into it, and like you said, get us immersed into the world and let us make decisions and things like that. I think that'll be great. They might be a Jedi, but hey, I'm all about having a wanted level, or a meter that takes you up to the light side, to the dark side, as you make these choices.
That way you can make your choice. Because at this point, if I was a Jedi during Order 66, I would essentially follow my own code in a way.
Exactly.
Because the Jedi code, yes, you would still technically have to live by it, but the Jedi are gone. You would essentially have to reestablish yourself.
Yes.
And from everything I've read on it, the customization, you won't be able to change your person's like facial features, but like you'd be able to change how his hair is, clothes, and everything like that. You will also be able to design your lightsaber hilt to how you want it to look.
Yes.
Because that's a big thing for me, being able to customize your character to how you want your character to be in Star Wars. Especially the hilt. The hilts are always different. They're not always a standard hilt that all look the same.
Right. Yes.
Yes. Luke's looks like Obi-Wan's, but he made it look like Obi-Wan's to tribute Obi-Wan.
Yes, exactly.
Like Obi-Wan's original lightsaber from Phantom Menace in Episode 2 was to honor Qui-Gon, because usually the student would make a lightsaber to essentially resemble their master.
Right.
Anakin kind of went his own way. He wanted it to establish himself, even as an apprentice. He didn't want to just be a copy of Obi-Wan Kenobi or live in his shadow.
Yeah.
But a wanted level system, like I've been saying, like Grand Theft Auto or even Red Dead Redemption. I said it with James Brown and a few other people. Start off like the first few wanted levels, stormtroopers and like elite troopers come after you at first. Then bounty hunters, then the Inquisitors. Then if you get really wanted, Vader comes after you, and it's just a one-shot kill.
Yes.
That's it. Because at this point, Vader is at his strongest.
Yeah.
And at his most angry, I would assume. And yeah, like it just makes me excited. There is an open world RPG coming out. I believe there it's in development, but essentially it is open world, similar to Skyrim. I don't. You can obviously travel to other planets, um, essentially like Knights of the Old Republic. But I don't want them to go the route of the Old Republic, making it in MMO and everything like that.
Yeah. No, we don't need that.
No. If they did it like maybe if they did an online version, not so much like Battlefront, but um like maybe Red Dead Redemption 2's online version and stuff like that. Something similar to that,
Yeah.
I'd be okay with. But if they make it too much like the MMO version for the Old Republic, then
it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
I honestly, like I was saying with Fallout 76, I haven't had any bad experiences. I've had a couple bad experiences, but for the most part, people have been really good. Especially like even to me, they'll come up and they'll just like a level 76 guy will just drop stuff right in front of me for me to take.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's cool. But I've always had this thing about MMOs where I just don't want to deal with douches, online. I prefer Skyrim or Fallout normal games where they have the NPCs that essentially take the place of other players, like live action players, except you feel like you're talking to somebody online, but you're not dealing with that person essentially as a, what could become a potential problem.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I hope now if they want to introduce an online version, just kind of like you said with like they did with Red Dead Redemption 2, that's cool. Cause like I won't even fool with the Red Dead Redemption 2 online thing. I just still play just the regular game. So it gives people that option.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Red Dead Online, it's still in beta.
Okay.
But from what I've played, it's actually not too bad.
Okay.
There's a few different versions. You can do free roam, which is typical, do whatever you want, or you can posse up. It pairs you with a gang, and you can do essentially like gang stuff, like robbing a train or robbing a bank and stuff like that.
Okay.
The next thing that is this year, which would be the return of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It is the 7th season for the Clone Wars. Now, you haven't really watched the Clone Wars, have you?
No, I got all the way through Clone Wars. It's
Okay.
Rebels I hadn't gotten through yet.
Okay. So what do you think of Clone Wars finally coming back and wrapping everything up finally?
I like it. The good thing about that is it's kind of like the first new Vader series that came out. I was really disappointed when it was done at issue 25. And they were like, well, the guy said that he didn't want to, he had a story, he told it, and he didn't want to essentially just start making other issues just to keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Clone Wars, to me, when it started getting near the end, it was time to wrap it up. It just seemed like, well, now I guess they had time to sit back and think, and now they can go fix things, and maybe we'll get more organized stories. It happens to every great show. Breaking Bad, Dexter, all those, when they got closer to the end, I was like, it's time to wrap these up.
Yeah.
And so that's how Clone Wars essentially was for me. Near the end, it just started getting like just tiring.
Okay.
But to have it come back now it seems like now they've stopped, they've regrouped.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put something else out, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. What I'm most excited for is the reunion for Anakin and Ahsoka, essentially their last reunion until essentially their eventual duel in Rebels.
Okay.
And Dave Filoni talked about it at Celebration in 2016. The way their final encounter goes, they get the message that Palpatine was captured. Anakin talks to Ahsoka saying how proud he is of her and everything. And before he leaves, he goes, I hope you didn't think I was going to leave you without support. And the doors behind him open up with the 501st all in the color scheme of Ahsoka and everything like that.
That's awesome.
And the last thing Ahsoka sees is Anakin going off to save the Chancellor.
Oh, so that picks up where pretty much
Revenge of the Sith.
The actual Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
And that's why we're not seeing Ahsoka in the live actions right now. That was the biggest problem I always had, was like they got these characters in the cartoon, but it's like, is it essentially canon even though they say it is? Because where has she been all this time? But that makes it's all flowing now.
Yeah.
I see. That's yeah.
It will also be the last time before Rebels that Maul and Kenobi have one last duel. I don't know how the duel will pan out. It will obviously be more epic than their duel in Rebels. The duel in Rebels is still my favorite duel. It's very quick. Essentially, Darth Maul finds Obi-Wan on Tatooine. He's taunting him, saying, maybe I should leave you here to fester in your squalor, taunting him, asking him why is it that he stays in this place? Is it you're protecting something? And then he goes, no, you're protecting someone. And that's when it clicks in Obi-Wan, like, I have to take this guy out now.
Okay.
So he turns his lightsaber on, goes into prequel Obi-Wan stance, like the saber up with his fingers pointed out. Then he goes into Alec Guinness, and then Qui-Gon Jinn's stance. And Maul's thinking, like, okay, I beat Qui-Gon with this. I'll do this again. So he goes for the same move, and as he goes to hit Obi-Wan in the face, Obi-Wan cuts through the middle of his double-bladed saber, cutting him in the chest. Essentially, a straight cut down. It's essentially 1-2 slice down the middle. It's that quick of a fight.
Okay.
And Obi-Wan is essentially Alec Guinness' age at this point, so he has to end it quick.
Okay, yeah. All right.
And the voice actor that they got for it, Steven Stanton, he does a fantastic Alec Guinness.
Okay.
I'll send you the clip of the duel after this recording and everything. It's Rebels, the animation, it's not as on par with Clone Wars, but it's got a unique take on it. The sabers are thinner, mainly because they want an original trilogy kind of vibe for the sabers, because they were thinner then. And plus, you get Vader in season 2, voiced by James Earl Jones again. So there's always a plus with that. And you get the duel with him and Ahsoka. Um, it ended with 4 seasons, which is for um, Rebels, because it ended right before um, the space battle in Rogue One, um, above Scarif. Um, like a day or so before that battle.
Okay.
So you see them form the base on Yavin 4 and everything like that. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Rebels. When you get the chance, definitely try and sit down and kind of binge Rebels. You don't have to get a list like Clone Wars because it's all just straight through. Plus, you first season, the Grand Inquisitor is voiced by Jason Isaacs.
Oh.
So if you can get a good villain voice,
well, the thing is, I want to start watching it, but I know what'll happen. I'll just keep watching it, and I won't get anything done. So it is on my list to watch. I've been wanting to see it just because once you get Vader, I like the way Vader looks in there because of how it's. I know it's animated, and even though it's all canon, you're supposed to you almost have to kind of visualize things yourself as you're watching it because Vader's thinner, like when they show that scene where he gets half the helmet chopped off, and that's just so awesome looking. Like it just looks badass. And I hate to say it, but he looks totally. It does not look like it fits with the movie line stuff because the movie. If you look at Vader in the movie, that helmet is huge.
Yes.
If you see it chopped open, you see Anakin's head inside is actually really small inside of there. But in that, it's almost as if the helmet is conformed to his face almost. And so I don't know, for some reason, I just think it looks awesome.
It does.
And then, his eye, because, a lot of times Vader, his eyes just change. Like he's not like Palpatine, where his eyes are constantly the Sith yellow. He does it when he gets angry and stuff. But this is like he must have been pissed off because his eye is just glowing. It just looks awesome.
And I like when the crack happened and it was back to Anakin's voice and not really James Earl Jones.
Oh, okay. See, like I said, I haven't seen it. I've seen pictures.
When that happened, it was the first and only time a Jedi got a hit on Vader.
Okay.
Essentially, it was a way of them saying it was cracking the shell of Vader because it was Anakin's voice that came out of it saying Ahsoka, not James Earl Jones.
Okay.
And it was really cool. They delved deep into more Jedi mythology stuff with Kanan and Ezra. Kanan, you will like. He's essentially Han Solo if he was a Jedi.
Okay.
And he's voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh, cool.
He has a comic run. His original
I've got most of his comics. Got most. I was getting them from the start, and I kind of liked it. Yeah.
His attitude from the comics is the exact same attitude he has in Rebels.
Okay. All right.
He doesn't want to be a part of a bigger alliance or anything like that because of what happened with the Clone Wars. His character develops in so many awesome ways. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but season 4, there is a very big tear-jerking moment. Not saying what happens, but when it comes, when you are able to sit down and watch it, when that scene happens, I want you to message me and tell me what your reaction was to it.
Okay.
It is a very powerful scene. The other good thing about Rebels is the music is on par with John Williams' music.
Nice.
It's done by Kevin Kiner, who did Clone Wars as well. But he rearranged the way he did the music to sound more like the original trilogy.
Okay.
So That is your homework for when you watch Rebels.
Okay.
The next thing, which is again the biggest thing for this year, which is episode 9. What do you and what don't you want to see from episode 9 when it comes out?
I am kind of on the fence on whether I'm kind of tired of this Rey and Kylo. Are we going to sleep together kind of thing? Like you know what I mean? It's kind of like I don't know. It's getting. I just don't know. It's like they don't know what they want to do, or they just want to keep throwing us a bone and hope we're going to catch it. Like, and I don't know if it's just bothering me or what, but you know, I'm kind of tired of that little like that tension that's there. You know, it's just. But other than that, I mean, they threw me off in the last one because I thought that he was changing. You know what I mean? Like he took out Snoke, and I'm like, whoa, he just took out Snoke. He's changing, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, I just got rid of him.
Supreme leader now.
I'm supreme leader now, and I kind of like that because for a while there he was getting to be kind of like not pansy, but he just was like, who would be a good example where they're almost just like a figurehead, like they're there, but they're letting him pretend like he's big, but behind the scenes they've got other people that are actually trying to run things. It's like he's just.
I'd say General Grievous.
Yeah.
Like
where exactly.
Yeah, that was. If you heard my theater when that happened, the entire theater cheered because they thought Kylo was turning.
And that's what happened with me. Like it's like everybody went crazy.
But me, I'm like, there's something else afoot here. Because he is. They don't say he's a Sith, but he's a Sith.
Right.
What do Sith do?
They take out their master. I'm sorry, lost track.
It's all good.
They take out their master, and that's just what they do.
Yep.
It's expected, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, clearly Snoke didn't expect it.
He didn't expect it, but all the others do. They're like, you know, one day you're probably going to take me out.
Yeah. Well, Palpatine didn't. He just got very cocky at the end.
Yeah. But he had no qualms on letting Dooku get taken out.
Oh yeah,
kill him.
Yeah, they did Christopher Lee terrible there.
Yes, they did.
But at least him and Peter Cushing are in a movie series together again.
Yeah.
Because those two are easily two of the best actors in cinema history. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Plus, they both killed Nazis back in the day. So,
yeah.
Plus, when Christopher Lee turned 90, he made a metal album. It was actually pretty
He made a metal album.
He
yes. I mean, that's just too cool.
Now, things I would want to see. I don't want to see a redemption. I would be fine if it happens, but I don't want a happy ending. I want it. He fakes out Rey that he's gonna turn back to the light side, and he actually makes it seem like it's legit. Turns the lightsaber on right through his stomach.
Yeah.
And the First Order rules the entire galaxy. Essentially, new galactic empire.
Yes.
Controlled by
and that could start
another Sith Lord that is out there like, hey, I'm a Sith Lord. You're going to do what I say.
Yes. And that starts a whole new trilogy up.
Yeah. Because, yes, this is the end of the Skywalker story.
Yeah.
It's time
for the Solo.
Follow it with Ben Solo / Kylo Ren.
Yep.
and you can have a new generation of Force user, Jedi, whatever, trying to pose him in episode 10, 11, and 12, which they probably do in like 6, 7 years from now.
Right.
Because Daisy Ridley's gone on record saying, after 9, I'm out. She's doing the Harrison Ford thing.
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to handle Carrie Fisher or play it in this film?
You know, they said this is when it first happened. I'd read somewhere, but they had talked about she was going to play a pivotal role in 9, and they would use a lot of CGI. I don't know if they'll do that now, but also, you know, are they going to, will the Fisher estate allow the usage of her, in such a way? And do we as fans accept that? Like, do we want to see her on screen, but do we really want to see her like they did Peter Cushing? At first, I was like blown away by that. But then, like the second time I watched Rogue One, I was like, that's kind of creepy. That's kind of, you know what I mean? Because I was like, wow, this is like crazy. So I don't know how they're going to address that. And I don't know. I can't really say what the best course of action is, because on one hand, I'd love to see them do the CGI thing. They do it all. They've done it all. Fast and the Furious 7 with Paul Walker, when they finished up a lot of the scenes by using his brother and CGIing over top of him. I was like, wow, this is what we can do with CGI now. And then you look at Haley Atwell in Winter Soldier. I was like, wow, how did they make her look old? That was not makeup. That was all CGI. And then you start seeing what they're doing with like Robert Downey Jr., making him younger, and what's his name? Michael Douglas, and making him look young. And I'm like, wow, they can do all this. So on one hand, I'm like, yeah, go for it. But number two, we don't want to just use her as a money-making thing, too. We want to honor her in a way that she's part of the movie and she's addressed to the fans, but we don't want it to be like a cash cow, which ultimately that's what the movie is. It's a cash cow. But at the same time, it's like, I'm assuming the estate will say yes or no. So I don't know how they're going to address it. Maybe they just say she has gone away onto another planet now and gone into seclusion. She doesn't want to be bothered anymore.
Yeah.
She, it's hard to say.
If they're going to do a redemption for Kylo, it will be if Leia is killed.
Oh, yeah.
If they do it, have it be one of the Knights of Ren, and they go against his orders and assassinate her. And that's what causes Kylo to turn back. That I would be fine with.
That would be cool, actually.
I don't want to see Kylo with another mask.
No, he's done with the mask.
Yeah. I prefer to see the actor's performance. Vader is a different story. Vader's special.
Vader is big. He had to have that. That was essentially, when I was a kid, I didn't know Vader was as messed up as he was. You don't learn that, at 3 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was like that jacked up, and even as a kid at 3 years old, you could tell me all day, oh, that's how he breathes, but I didn't know the whole story.
Yeah.
And so now you're like, okay, so he's got this on pretty much to keep him alive and to intimidate. However, Kylo doesn't need that anymore unless he gets severely injured, and then people will complain that they're just repeating the movies again.
Yeah.
If they get into a point where he's got to have a breathing apparatus or the mask for whatever reason to cover his disfigured face, now we're repeating the thing again. And you talk about angry fans for stupid stuff. Imagine they do something like that,
Yeah.
So let's keep
they
the
wouldn't let
mask off.
JJ live that down.
What's that?
They wouldn't let JJ lived that down, being
Oh
all like,
no!
"Oh, you're
So
just copying
you're
whatever."
just copying. You don't know how to write a movie. You're just
Yeah,
recycling, and so
even
and
though
just leave the mask away.
JJ made Star Trek entertaining.
He did. I did not like Star Trek. Well, I mean, I didn't hate the Star Trek, but I just never felt the thing on it. A
Yeah.
guy brought the first movie in to me at work and said, "Hey, take this home and watch it."
Mm-hmm.
And I started watching. And my wife at the time, she sat down and watched it, and she got all into it. The little guy that was with Bones, the little alien, she was like, "I just love that guy," and it was really entertaining, and he made me watch Star Trek.
Yeah.
And he made it interesting. I hate to say it, but Shatner, boo, compared to Pine, Chris, or he did, he brought Kirk to life.
Yeah.
And like you said, so Abrams is a good, like Cloverfield. Oh my goodness, that was such a good movie. He does good stuff. So these people complaining all the time, these need to shut up.
Yep. I couldn't say
Nothing's
it
going to be
better
perfect.
myself.
Nothing's going to be perfect, of course.
Nope.
But if you make original stuff, you should have went back and tried to do the original trilogy stuff where you've got this going on, and it's like, well, they would have done it, but then you would have faulted him for doing that. You can't make anybody happy, so you just have to roll with it.
Like, this is a perfect example. Force Awakens. They play it safe and cater to like A New Hope.
Right.
Fans complain about that they want something original. They make The Last Jedi. It's too original. They want something.
Yes.
They don't know what they want.
They don't want, and I hate to say this, but a lot of the fans that you see complaining don't even, they know Star Wars by characters and stuff, but they don't know the history of it. They don't know the terms, like how we do AD and BC. They don't know the different time periods.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but those are the kind of people that complain. They've jumped on the bandwagon of Star Wars and have just totally ruined it for everybody that's actually likes it. Because to me, a new Star Wars movie every year, I was excited.
Yeah.
But the fans that are so that douchey have caused people like me, you, and people that actually have enjoyed this their entire life. Just, you make it a miserable thing, and maybe that's their whole point. Maybe that's their whole goal.
Yeah. They're really clone troopers. They executed order fanboy tears.
Yes.
We'll continue to fight for Star Wars. I don't have to fight for Star Wars. Star Wars isn't going away, but I will continue to defend it as much as I can.
Exactly.
And that
it
is
might
essentially
not make the money that it was getting, but it is going to affect it. The people's reactions and how they complain about and stuff. It's going to cause the popularity to dwindle, but it'll still be a money maker
easily because it's Star Wars.
Exactly.
Even if they take a break from movies and just do TV series stuff for a while, it's still Star Wars and it's still going to be around.
Right.
The only exception I would have if Kylo has a helmet again is if he only uses it when he's in battle.
And that's fine. You're right. Yeah. It's almost like a knight kind of thing. Like, he goes in battle, but when he's not fighting, have the helmet off. Yeah, I could do that. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, it could be his old helmet. I liked his old helmet because to me, it was kind of like, when it first came out, before I did any research on the movie, I thought that it was Revan, really.
I did too.
You can see where they took the characteristics of Revan's helmet and incorporated into it. I'm like, and people were like, oh, they totally messed Raven up, and I was like, no, they didn't. I was like, I think it looks pretty cool for an on-screen adaptation. And then this guy was like, no, that's not Revan. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, no, that's Kylo Ren. And that's when I decided to go and actually do research. And I was like, oh, so this, because, I was just going by, it's a new Star Wars movie coming out.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to kind of go in surprised.
Yeah.
But when people started telling me that wasn't Revan, I said, let me go do some research. And when I started researching it, I was like, oh, so this guy's like totally new. So that's when I started realizing they're taking the, what do they call it now? Universe or
Legends.
Legends. They're taking Legends characters and slowly pulling bits and pieces from there. And I'm fine with that because now we're, they're going to they pull the helmet from Revan into the or now Thrawn is going to be, it's cool. I like it that now they got rid of Legends, but now look at what they can do with it. Yeah. They can pull what they want and add cooler stuff and mix and match and play with it. And now, wow, you got stuff for years to come.
Easily. And Thrawn being added back into canon was the biggest news for Rebels and everything like that.
Yeah.
And when you watch Rebels and he appears on the scene, he's a great villain for the series.
Okay.
He's voiced by not Mads Mikkelsen, but his brother.
Oh, okay.
His brother voices Thrawn. And it's a very good voice for Thrawn. It's not. Okay. He doesn't show really any emotion. He never gets angry. He shows it in his face, but his voice never changes.
Okay.
He's always calm and collecting. He'll still shoot you in the face when he has to, but now for some just talking stuff. Now, if you were in the Star Wars universe, what planet would you want to be from?
Oh, I want to say I would probably, and bear with me, but what is the one from, oh goodness, the one where they have to go after Zam Wazell, and they got like the nightclubs and stuff, and it's like they're what is the name of that planet?
It's Coruscant.
Coruscant. Sorry. That's the one because it's so they added that in to show that hey, they're pretty much like Earth, almost like they got this, and then the cars flying and stuff like that. It's almost got that Fifth Element style vibe to it.
Yeah,
I think it would be Coruscant.
Yeah, I'd live on Coruscant as well. Probably more like middle level Coruscant, not so much lower levels.
Yeah.
Lower level, like 1313 is not a good place to hang out on Coruscant.
No, it looks like a bunch of villainy and scum and villainy in it.
Obi-Wan doesn't like hanging out there.
No. And for good reason.
Yeah. Now, if you were a Jedi, I know you're more of a Sith, but if you were a Jedi and you had to choose between these 5 masters, who would it be? Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, or Qui-Gon Jinn?
So biased me would say Anakin, but that's just me saying because I like his. I don't want to say that, so I'm gonna. I would probably go with somebody like Luke. To be honest, I would probably say Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
I'd like to say Anakin, but most people would say, "Oh, you're just saying that because you like Darth Vader, because you like Anakin from the start."
Well, no, you can easily choose Anakin. I love the way he goes about his training.
I like his training. He's very steadfast. He's stubborn. Yeah. He does his own thing, kind of, and that's what I like.
Yeah,
I can't do Mace Windu. I never cared for that character to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was almost a Jedi sociopath in a way. You know what I mean?
You have the same idea on that.
Yeah, I just not a big fan of him at all. and I was actually happy when he got thrown out the window.
Me too.
Get it? The window. Sorry, you got thrown. He got thrown out the window.
It was foreshadowing the entire time.
Yeah.
um,
Luke would be really cool. Qui-Gon, nah, he just wasn't my style. And Obi-Wan, he became kind of kooky. Like he was kind of like
a little bit.
He was kind of out there a little bit. So I think I'd go with Anakin. I'm gonna go ahead and my final
Mine
answer.
would be Qui-Gon, mainly because of his understanding of the Force and everything like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Plus, it's Liam Neeson. If you can have Liam
I was gonna
Neeson
say,
as your master,
he's got the look, and
yeah.
he's. But I just, Obi-Wan was a little kooky for me. I hate Mace Windu. Qui-Gon would be a good choice for me too, just because, like you said, he understood and he took it serious.
Yeah.
And
he was the first Jedi in a long time to become a Force spirit. And learn about the cosmic Force. Mace Windu, I've gone on record a bunch of times. Mace Windu was the full reason on why Anakin turned to the dark side.
Yes, because he didn't have to act the way he did towards Anakin. Anakin was the chosen one, and if Anakin had been granted master, I think they could have helped quell his
anger.
Because that was his biggest downfall, was his anger, and they could work with that. But when you just deny somebody something, just the simple fact because he was just an orphan boy that we brought in here and we felt sorry for him, that was he could have handled it a lot better.
Yeah, easily.
He even went and told him that was not by design, that he went and told that, hey, your problem is Palpatine, or Senator Palpatine. He is a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Are you sure? But he went in there and told him straight up.
Are you sure?
It wasn't. Are you sure? He wasn't. He was actually legit. That wasn't a trick.
Yeah.
He went and told on Palpatine, hey, Chancellor Palpatine, hey, he's a Sith Lord. You know. And then because the way they treated him and stuff, he's like, you know what? Bump this.
Yeah.
I'm going towards Palpatine now, the Chancellor. So you're right. I agree with you 100%. He was half the.
Yeah. Do you think if Qui-Gon survived and trained Anakin, do you think it would have been harder for Anakin to turn to the dark side?
Yes. I think that Qui-Gon's maturity level, which is probably another reason why I say I really wouldn't pick him, because he's just too by the book. He's too in tune with the Force.
Yeah.
Having somebody like him, he would have put Anakin in his place, whereas Obi-Wan couldn't. Obi-Wan and them, they did their little adventures and they joked around with each other and stuff like that, so like that. But I think if Qui-Gon had gotten his hands on Anakin from the start and just worked with him, it would have he would have been probably the best Jedi ever. Like Anakin would have been the best. And it was unfortunate circumstances that caused him to,
Yeah. I agree with that. And I think Qui-Gon would have understood Anakin's passion for Padme and everything a lot better.
Exactly. Yeah. That's another thing. And you just brought that up, that the whole thing, I don't know how he would have taken that whole thing with Padme was another downfall to Anakin.
Yeah.
He cared too much about her. And, he had his anger moments and he did the horrible thing to her, but he loved her. And that was a downfall for him. So like you said, Windu and Padme both were Anakin's downfall towards the dark side.
Yeah. Let's see. Besides Mace Windu, what other Jedi do you not really care for?
Well, unfortunately, the live action movies threw them in episode 3 too quickly. We didn't get to experience them a whole lot, like Kit Fisto and sorry, I'm really horrible today at trying to pronounce words.
That's okay. Sensei
Sakura.
Tin or something like that.
Yes. So, but let's see, Jedi's. A lot of them are just arrogant, and I don't like that. I can't stand that. So it's kind of like, it's like I'm glad you guys got Order 66th. You guys got 66th, son. It's like I'm so glad because they were just getting on my nerves. And maybe it's because I have an affinity for the bad guys, but I was excited when they started like execute Order 66, and it's like they just start turning them. I was like, it's just great. I felt bad for Azura. I cannot say her name today.
Ayla Secura.
Yes. I felt bad for her because she didn't even get a chance. She turned around and just bam, bam, bam.
Well, Plo Koon never got a chance either.
No, they did. Yeah, you're right. What's his name got a chance to? He saw it and he was able to block and stuff. And then he got it anyway. Yes. But yeah, they just turned around as like, just roasted her.
Yeah. Then
that's all that Ki-Adi-Mundi ever wanted was to worry about where the droid attack on the Wookiees was happening.
That'll be his Star Wars story, is figuring out the droid attack on the Wookiees.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I did that's one Jedi that I wasn't even thinking about, and that was Yoda. He would be an interesting person to take you under because he's also kind of loony.
Well, I think he went loony because of how long he was alone on Dagobah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's what it was.
Plus, he was like 900 years old, so he's probably going senile too. But Luke did show a little bit of Yoda's training in training Rey with him slapping Rey's hand.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And the deleted scene of one of her lessons where she runs to save the village, but it's not really a village that needs to be saved. It's just a party.
I got to check that out.
But what's funny about that when Luke's already there, because Luke is Grand Super Master. But what's funny is he's watching the ocean and he's like, Grant just ran so fast I wasn't able to tell you what was going on. But when he laughs, he does a Joker laugh.
Oh.
So Mark Hamill squeezed in a Joker laugh in Star Wars, but unfortunately it's a deleted scene.
Okay, I got to look those deleted scenes up then because that's amazing.
Yeah. Mark Hamill also voiced one of the aliens in on Canto Bight. The drunk alien that started putting coins into BB-8.
Oh, okay.
He voiced that alien.
Awesome.
Actually, Robin, if you want, you can answer which Jedi you don't really care for, besides Mace Windu, because I know you're kind of don't like him either.
I think of all the Jedi that I'm not so keen on. I think the one that really bothers me the most is the one, I can't remember him specifically, but it's from the Battle of Geonosia. See, I'm just like Tim. I can't enunciate what's We're in the same boat tonight. Geonosis in the arena, and he literally jumps out in front of Count Dooku and then is struck down right away. Like, George, really? It's not that I hate the man. It's just I feel so bad that I hate him. It's weird, man.
That's true. Well, Dooku probably would have just one-shotted him anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another interesting one. Least favorite Sith out of everything Star Wars, from Legends and everything.
Okay, Malgus.
Why is that?
Because too many people hype him up too much, and you'll see in these forums and you get in arguments, oh, he's better than Vader, he's better than Vader. But
Nah.
Vader was created first.
Mm-hmm.
They created Malgus as a way to have a Vader walking around without a mask on.
Yeah.
Because essentially he's just Vader without a mask. And I think that's too coincidental. That's too that's copying. You just decided to make a character that was like Vader and everybody's gonna over hype him. It's kind of like when you take a comic book character, you wanna upgrade them, but you don't want to mess up the classicness of it. So you create Carnage instead of messing up Venom too much.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to change Venom's color and add these, so let's just create a new character. We want to make Iron Man fully armored with weapons. No, let's just create a new guy, War Machine, So that's what they did. We want to have Vader walking around with some of his mask off. So we don't want to mess Vader up. So let's just create Malgus. And to me, I just think he just got a little overrated. So he's the one that I really can't stand.
I can agree with that. My least favorite would be Darth Talon from Legends.
You don't like Talon?
I'm not a big fan of her.
Oh, because I was about to say earlier that I want to see her added into canon, but that's just me.
I mean, it'd be cool, but I don't know.
Well, they'd have to update her a little bit less with the dominatrix style clothing.
True.
If they made her just a little bit more clothing on, it would be a little bit better. You couldn't have her in now anyway, because even though it's PG-13, she's borderline
naked.
She really is. And so, but I think the character is interesting. To have a Sith Twi'lek is pretty cool. But for me, I have nothing wrong with the clothing. I like it, but you couldn't have it like that now.
No.
So if they gave her a different outfit, it would work. But I can see why you don't like her.
I feel it's the Darth Maul tattoos that don't really work for me for her.
Okay, yeah.
I feel it's a way to have like a female Darth Maul that's not a Zabrak.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
But fun fact, she was originally planned to be the main villain of this trilogy. So she was in the running for being the main villain.
Okay.
Robin, if you want to say your least favorite Sith, you can as well.
I'm going to second Tim on Darth Malgus because I totally understand where he's coming from in the group chats. A lot of the Star Wars group chats that I'm in as well on Facebook and even throughout Twitter conversations, there's this whole idea that Malgus is suddenly so much more supreme than Darth Vader, that his character is more flushed out, that because of the Legends piece and how it plays into Knights of the Old Republic and whatever else, that Malgus is this great and all-being power that's greater than even... I've seen people even compare him to being better than Darth Bane. I'm like,
no.
You guys, the rule of two, man. No. Darth Bane is the creator of the rule of two. You have no right to say that whatsoever.
Exactly.
So I agree with him.
Everyone from the Dark Council. He did that by himself.
Yes. Bane is one I was going to mention earlier that I actually... Because I hate to say that I don't want to sound like a fanboy. Oh, I'm a Vader fan. I am a Vader fan. I am Vader.
Trust me, we all know you're a Vader fan.
But if you want to get to it, I like Bane. I like his character. I love how they fleshed him out and how he came up with the rule of two and just things he did. He's just simple looking. He's just the guy that has the makeup on. Matter of fact, if you've seen some of my pictures, I had a guy in my group actually, like, you shouldn't do your makeup like that. You look like one of my guys in my own group. He's like, you look like you're, what did he call it? When I did the makeup that was like Bane pretty much.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I said, this is, even though I'm trying to be like a new, like my own version of Vader, I got this makeup scheme kind of somewhat from Bane.
Yeah.
And he couldn't understand that. But Bane is like, he's definitely one of my favorite of them.
Bane is very special, Seth, for me. not only because he's voiced by Mark Hamill, but just the fact that he was able to create the rule of two,
Yeah.
and it stayed for a millennium, essentially. And, well, he was one of the Sith that didn't have the traditional red lightsaber. He had a purple. And I like that his armor, his new canon armor, is essentially like samurai armor. I really like that. Robin, if you want to give your love for Darth Bane, you can as well.
Anybody who can create the rule of two and it still make its way through the canon, including through the Clone Wars series, yeah, that dude is pretty supreme.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, besides Darth Bane, Vader, and Sidious, who would you say is one of your favorite Sith?
Besides
those three, and Darth Talon.
Yeah, I've never really put it into thought so much of who I actually really would like as. And I'm trying to go back and think who I would actually respect as a. Now I'll tell you what I thought. I like Count Dooku.
Okay.
What I didn't like about him was just he was just kind of uncharismatic. Like, I mean, it was Christopher Lee. But he didn't really. They didn't really make him out to be somebody that you would just like have the look that you want to. But when it came to fighting, he just wrecked house. I mean, he gave Yoda a run for his money. He took Obi-Wan and Anakin at the same time, and they couldn't beat him. You know, it's like he's bad. You know, especially at the fighting and the wielding of the lightsaber, unstoppable. I'd have to say I kind of like him in a way.
I like Dooku as well.
Yeah.
Merely because Christopher Lee.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, it was Christopher Lee that did a lot of the fighting close up. When it was like far away, when they had to move fast, it was his stunt double. But when it was close up, it was all Christopher Lee doing the fighting and everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He specifically chose the fighting style for Count Dooku, if I remember correctly. He wanted fencing kind of style for him.
Okay.
Because I think that's the sword fighting style that Christopher Lee was more familiar with. But my favorite Sith, other than those three, I don't really like Talon, but other than those two, would be Darth Nihilus.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
Nihilus tops a lot of Sith for me. The fact that he can absorb Force energy and make himself even stronger. He can step on a planet and essentially eat it. And the fact that he was able to put his essence into his armor and still live through it and everything like that is fascinating. And he essentially cheated death, which Palpatine was never able to do.
Nope.
Robin, if you would like to chime in on your favorite Sith other than Vader and Sidious and Bane.
Listen, I can also step on a planet and consume the whole thing by itself, especially if it involves Chick-fil-A. I think beyond that, I am a huge fan of Mr. Christopher Lee, Mr. Count Dooku, being a big fan of original horror films and everything that Christopher Lee enveloped in the film world. And then for George Lucas to come out and say, you know what, you're going to play a Sith Lord. That was just amazing, simply amazing. And I think that that's the kind of casting, I'm going to say it, the Lucasfilm has to take into account today. They have to look back, and I'm sorry to say it, a lot of people are not sure about this, but you look at Richard E. Grant coming into episode 9. You look at Matt Smith, the Doctor himself. coming into episode 9. They're starting to cast that way. And I think they're casting very similar to play roles like Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something enveloped in there in episode 9, but I absolutely love what Christopher Lee brought as a Sith Lord to Count Dooku. He enveloped that character and made me love what Count Dooku is all about.
Yeah, I agree. What you doing there, Tim?
I'm trying to plug my phone up because it was about to go dead.
It's okay. You ask me that question all the time.
Last topic for tonight. Robin, you can actually stay in for this if you want. But what do you think of the possibility, it's been thrown around there, of George Lucas directing the Obi-Wan Star Wars story?
The thing about it is, if he's directing, I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that at this point he would probably have learned his lessons from the prequels. It's, you know, so many people complain about they blame him for most of it, and rightfully so. He was, you know, it's his baby. He was just trying something different. So I think George Lucas coming back is going to get a lot of attention. I think a lot of the fans are going to love it, and I'm for it. You know, hey, you're getting the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
You know, that's his baby. He created. This is his legacy. Hey, let him go. You know, I'm kind of skeptical on him writing anything else. But directing is totally different. You know, his directing is fine. The prequels, the problem I had with him was it just went a little out there from what people were used to of Star Wars. Nothing wrong with that. He was just trying to take it that next step. I think he just went a little bit too crazy. However, they weren't bad. I mean, you know, so I think with him coming back, if he was to direct, they could let him direct episode 9 for all I care.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? it might be pretty good, you know. I say let him go. You know, let him do it.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, he, like I said, that's his baby. He started it. It's the least you could do, you know. He's not going to mess it up.
Nope.
Any more than what people have already said has been happening with it, you know, to start with. So I say go for it. I have no problems with that at all.
Yeah. Robin, your thoughts on that possibility, if it is to happen?
I think that there's definitely something that, and I keep saying this on a lot of the podcasts here at Brick City Blockade, and it's that whole concept of Lucasfilm is not telling us something. 2019 Star Wars Celebration, they're playing it up for 5 days. Yeah, we have episode 9. Yeah, we have The Mandalorian. Yeah, we have Rian Johnson and Benioff and Weiss. But if you're going to do 5 days in Chicago, you're going to go from a Thursday to a Monday. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday stretch. There has to be some major or something that they're hiding in terms of news about Star Wars. And I have a funny feeling if George is to suddenly walk out on stage on Saturday main day, and they're to say, hey, you know what? This guy over here, yeah, he's got some extra plans here with Lucasfilm. We're going to give him a little bit something extra to head into 2021 or 2022, whatever it is. And we're going to give him the reins and take on this character. And then suddenly Ewan McGregor walks out and we find
that would be really cool
film. I would. That's the way to pull in the fans. That's the way to unite the fandom. And that's the way to have Star Wars once again take the headlines like it always should be when it comes to films outside of Marvel, outside of DC, outside of all these other great franchises that exist. Plus, coming off of J.J. Abrams, Episode 9, this is the statement that Lucasfilm needs, and I think that they're hiding something. They're not telling us something, folks.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is.
I can see that. You're right. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, they have something planned. I didn't realize it was going to be 5 days for Celebration.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Man, that's going to be a lot of Star Wars stuff to cover.
Yeah.
Anyway, have you read any of the new Star Wars books at all?
I have not read, and I hate to say this, but my my reading has gone down these past couple of years as far as
Okay.
me actually reading any books.
Get Audible.
Okay.
And have Lords of the Sith read to you. It is easily one of the best books, and it follows Darth Vader. One of the best scenes from it is Vader's in his TIE fighter. It gets essentially shot down. Vader ejects himself from the TIE fighter and uses the Force to put himself into the Rebel flagship and start killing rebels. It is fantastic, and if that happens in the film, I'll need a new pair of pants. I'll just say that.
I think we all will.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'm pretty sure Robin can do that on his own, eject himself from his TIE fighter and fight rebels and stuff like that. I don't know. I haven't seen him do it. Can you maybe confirm that, Robin? I don't think you can. But unfortunately, it is that time we do like to call plug time. So, Tim, thank you for making another edition of Words of the Whills. Where can the people find you across social media? And if you have any other projects coming up in the future.
Okay, so I'll just say it now. I'm getting to a there we go. Okay. Everybody just I'm getting to a point now where I'm going to be slowing down in costuming. This 2019 is probably going to be my last year where I'm actually building really like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And after that, my goal is to stick more with my charity groups that we do. So I'll still costume, I'll still dress up, but I'm not going to get into the whole building and stuff a whole lot more. But if you want to follow my stuff, I am at NYCTERIS_artistry, and that's both for Instagram and Facebook. NYCTERIS. Usually, if you pop that in, it automatically will pop me up. There are not too many people name their stuff after a bat species. So, yeah. So that's where you can find me. I'm going to try and slow down on a lot of the conventions this year. I say that, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So my next convention will be Katsucon in Oxon Hill, Maryland, next month. I'll be doing that'll be my first convention for 2019. That's a really big one, and I'm going to go ahead and bring Vader back out. Awesome. I'm actually working the costume right now. I'm doing a little bit of upgrades to it because over the years, the foam is fatigued a little bit. I'm going to change it up a little bit, make it look a little different, not crazy different, but just a little bit, smooth the helmet out a little bit more. So you can look for that one. I didn't wear that costume one time last year. So it's time to bring it back.
I noticed an absence of Vader last year.
I had to give him a little bit of a break. I was trying some different costumes and stuff like that. But I'm ready to bring Vader back out. He's just one of my more fun ones to be.
Yeah. Now, Vader cosplay, do you have the ability to do the Vader breathing for the cosplay, or like a recording for the costume or something like that to have Vader breathing, or is it just?
Well, from the beginning, and I have the hookup in the helmet.
Yeah.
The problem is the costume was designed for me to be able to take the helmet on and off because the way I designed the character, his helmet is more for breathing. He has more the way I did Vader this time is he has asthma attacks, so he doesn't require the helmet constantly. Yes, and so what happens is the hookup, it's wired, and it was just getting annoying to have to unhook it every time I take the helmet on and off. So I just had gone without it. So as of recently, the last time I wore it at Katsucon in 2017, maybe I did wear it one time in 2018. I went to Katsucon in 2018, so I did wear it one time.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. I forgot about Katsucon. I actually wore the helmet more than anything. I didn't really take it off as much. So what I did was I had a recording of the voice, of the breathing, and I played it through a speaker Bluetooth off of my waist. It worked out. So anytime I've been doing it now, I'll have that where I just play it off my phone through Bluetooth.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna do that more this time. It adds more to it.
I would suggest for the breathing, do the injured Vader breathing.
Okay.
I feel that would work for your version of Vader.
I got you. Yep.
Um,
So I'll look into it and find it. See if I can at least download the clip. Because I got a couple off of iTunes, but they're not as great as they're not the direct.
Yeah.
Yeah, So it's a fun one to do. I love it. Like I said, I'm revamping it now. It won't when you look at it, you're like, oh, you didn't really do much to it, but I'm just trying to fix it up a little bit, and add a little bit to it. Maybe change the color scheme up a little bit. I'm going to add more black into it this time, instead of the ash charred gray. So I'm going to see how that does with lighting and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Well, I look forward to seeing it. I do always enjoy your Vader cosplay. But you guys can find me on Facebook at Andrew Merton Garish. I sometimes pop up, I sometimes don't. You can also follow the group for Where's the Whills on Facebook as well. You can find me on Instagram at Andrew62592 or at agarish1. Trying to get better at Twitter, and on YouTube at Commander Nerd. I will be getting it back up within the next couple of weeks. Also, you'll be seeing a lot more of me within the podcast network within the year of 2019 with some other side projects and everything like that. Robin, do you want to let people know where you are, or are you good? He is good.
I'm right here, actually. I'm right here. I got to do the plug time. Oh, my goodness. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Vote Tweets. Please make sure to check me out over on Instagram at The Official Vote. www.brickcityblockade.com for everything happening in that galaxy far, far away. A Galaxy of Joy program with Starlight Children's Foundation, bringing joy to children's faces across the globe and across this country in hospitals. And also TeePublic to rock the network, and Patreon to support.
I'm wearing the shirt.
That's right, Unity's. That's right. Tim, we got to get you a T-shirt, buddy. Send me your address.
Dude.
I will do that.
Yes, please do. We're gonna get you rocking some Blockade real soon.
Awesome.
And as we always say at the podcast network, may the force be with you.
With you
always.
Now there are three of them.